The next is Sally Buck, Linwood-Central-Heathcote Community Board.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. I'll just give you a report from the Waikura Community Board. I'm going to change it. How do you change it? Oh, sorry, do I do that? I'm sorry. I've got Diana with me today because our board advisor, Shapai, is on wedding leave. Got married recently. So
Welcome.
Diana's with me today. Yeah. We had some parking restrictions approved through our board, and we're also looking at some speed restrictions now too, because we can do it around the hills. We're finding it would be really quite good to have a few speed restrictions around the hills, either 30 or 40 km per hour, which are coming through to us. The community board decisions under delegation, the Linwood-Woolston Pool, the consultation has gone out for site selection. The following one actually should be is actually under Part A, so I won't talk about that one. And we've got the temporary alcohol ban still in Linwood Village, and we've got a questionnaire out at the moment asking people in the area what they think of that, and from what I'm hearing back, it's got full support to continue either the temporary or a permanent ban in that area. Some of the changing sheds and water fountains project approved through council. The annual plan has to be implemented. And we did the Sydenham Quarter, we put some money into getting a person to help promote that area. Woolston Park upgrade, that's going ahead, but these pieces of extra equipment that you see there, they are to be funded by the board, just some extra equipment in there for accessible play equipment to go in there. They're extra pieces. We allocated some funding for youth development to several different people, and we also reallocated funding to the Mount Pleasant Memorial Community Centre and Residents Association. Our Part A's, I don't know if you want to do them now. The Linwood Park Transportation Improvements Project, we'd really like you to vote on this today because we feel that it's gone through community board and it's got nearly the full support of board, and we also feel that all the submissions that came into this were analysed by staff, and on your report you've got the staff analysis even though you haven't got the actual submissions. You've got staff analysis of them, and we'd really like to see this go ahead because it's a huge safety risk down there, down this part of Ferry Road for schools down there and kids trying to cross, and the sooner we get this done the better. Penfolds Cobb Cottage, that's in the LTP already to be done. We'd like that done as soon as possible, and we agree with staff recommendations. We just want it hurried up because it's deteriorating quite rapidly. And significant council projects in the board area, we've got some in the master plan, which is scheduled to begin in May. We've got the Opawa Volunteer Library rebuild. I think the last sentence on that says we meet bi-weekly. I think that should say bi-monthly. And we've got a little working group which is working through that, and we've got sort of the first stages of a design going to go out soon. Wollston Community Library, the concrete pad is down for that now.
And the walls.
So,
And the walls.
and the walls are up already. Oh, I missed that part. Just gone up yesterday. Last time I went past it, that's the concrete pad. And then we've come to the alcohol ban, and Dana's just got a letter through to say that I think there's 100% support for this to continue, or for a permanent one. I think that residents want a permanent ban in the area. It has made a huge difference to the area, and also the activities that our staff, Diana, and the other staff have put in around that area is making a really big difference, isn't it, Diana? I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
We have been having some really, there's a lot of work going on in the community by local community groups and working closely with local organisations in the area. And there's still a couple of Zumba in the Park sessions to be had until the end of term one, and we've been on a regular basis getting 50 to 60 people coming along to those, which has been fantastic. And it's just wonderful to see people even just walking along the street and just being uplifted by the music and joining in for a bit and then carrying on. So,
yeah. This is the Doris Lusk Park, the one that we've got all the problems in. So it's changed it completely, hasn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's all
well done, staff. Yeah. Significant community issues, events, projects slide. We've got a networking forum for all the youth agencies around Linwood, and we'll be getting regular updates on that. The Roy Marta Food Commons, if you've never been to Radley Park, you could appreciate that this park virtually will be transformed under this program, and they've already planted a whole lot of fruit trees in there, and they're doing a heap of work. A community group are doing that, but they're working with council and Opus to get a good design for the area as well. And they need irrigation to go in there as well. Our Life festival was held on the 17th of March, and we did it from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. this time instead of during the afternoon, and it seemed to work really well that timing, didn't it? It was a bit cold that day, but there were heaps and heaps of people there having a lot of fun. We also had a whole lot of LTP consultations. This report mentions we had 2, but we actually had 5, and we also held a tent at the Life event, where the young people consulted with young people. It was really good, and a whole lot of them have put submissions in. Naturally, you'll be aware that the biggest interest that we have and the biggest amount of submissions that come into us are, please build the Linwood Pool water community facility. So it's really top of everybody's mind, and we're just getting so many submissions on it. The community board matters of interest, temporary skate ramp has already been installed, and I think it's been very well used. Sarah might like to say something about that. From what I've seen when I've been over there, it's been very well used. And we made a presentation to the District Licensing Committee on the sale of alcohol application for an off licence, and the results of that, the decision hasn't been made yet, so I won't talk about that anymore today. We did the Garden Awards as well, and they're always popular and they're wonderful. We did them at Sumner this time, and very well attended, and everybody loves those. So I think that's all. Oh.
So the stuff that you've got in there, the pictures, is it Woolston Park where you've got the talking tubes and things like that?
Yeah,
Do you-
it's
do you have
the
costs?
Woolston Playground one.
Woolston Playground, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have costs for those?
No, we haven't had the cost. Have we had the cost back for that? I don't. Oh, we did. They did come back, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did come back. It was more. It wasn't about the cost so much. It was more about whether we could fit them in, and whether
But
because it's on top of what was already going to go there.
They look like an interesting array of things. Did you have access to something that said, here are all the interesting playground initiatives?
No, we didn't have that, and they've only come back with, and we should actually have that for all the community boards. It should be given, you know, sort of pictures and an array of what can be installed there in any playground for the areas.
so
and I
it's not
would
all
really
slides and
appreciate
things.
if we could have something like that to all the community boards, because I think what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so you're choosing from something that is only what's been
Familiar
put in
with.
front of you. Thanks.
I'm just passing on to the chief executive that maybe, you know, presentation on all the options that are available for equipment to go into community playgrounds would be helpful for community boards that are considering particular playgrounds. Sarah?
Yeah, I was just going to clarify that this was following on, Vicky. Sorry, this is following a board request. So the playground itself went out. Like, so did the community consultation, what would you like to see? Here's some ideas, that sort of stuff. And when it came to us sort of on the budget that it had, this is what we can do, the board went, based on the feedback that we'd had from the community who had said, actually it'd be really good to have some of this as well once they'd seen the plan. We went, well, what could we add as a board and what could we pay for that's to do with accessibility stuff? So we asked staff to come up with some things, and then we said, yeah, let's do it,
Yeah.
to add to what council had budget for. So.
But it would be really good if we
Yeah.
had a full range of options.
Well, that's right.
Because there's a whole lot of new stuff we don't know about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Children's playground strategy being developed that unfortunately got put on hold because of the Sumner ramp taking all
We
the
just
budget.
get so excited by strategies being developed.
We just want to look at this stuff and choose.
It would be really good to, in the meantime,
Yeah.
just in case it doesn't happen overnight, then what we could do is we could actually get the information about what is available, because I agree, that, and also don't think for a minute that you have to be restricted to your own expenditure. You know, within. You know, calling on the ratepayers of Christchurch. Sarah, I am speaking to you. We don't have to necessarily call on the ratepayers of Christchurch. So it may well be that a local business would want to sponsor, you know, a couple of things. You know, so it's not just it's not just about what's available that we can fund or the community board can fund, but also what are the sponsorship options as well.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and that was briefly discussed, but for this area in particular, and the way that community operates, it was the quickest and easiest way for the board to fund some extra bits.
Yeah. Phil?
Leon, I just wanted to ask Sally about Cobb Cottage. I don't know if you want me to ask it.
No,
just now,
not
wait
right
till we come
now,
to the
because
item?
I said we'll leave part A's till
We'll come in,
next. Yanni?
Just in regards to the playground, the other thing that was discussed at the board, which would be really nice to get the children actually involved in making some of these playgrounds, so that, you know, there's been some very successful models up in, I think, is it Masterton, where they've actually built a kids playground, saved a lot of money and got the businesses on board. So it would be good to get some way forward on that. And also, we've got all these amazing men's sheds, but they might just be sheds and making stuff in our city. And there's also some fantastic work happening at Ferrymaid with Juliet from Rekindle around wood being turned in using old methods to make new things out of wood from our trees. That and so it would be, I think, really good to look at how we can do more of that, because those are resources that exist. But we do tend to struggle when we get the reports to the board around being able to get that sort of interaction with those community type projects. So if we're getting the information back on the equipment, can we get some information back about those other opportunities?
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Without waiting for a strategy?
No, men sheds are ahead of the strategy. Men sheds are an obvious place to engage, so I think that would be good. But I mean, there are others, you know, I mean, we've already heard about the Lions, you know, assisting with moving a building. You know, I know that Rotaries are always looking for projects to get involved in. You know, they've done some amazing work around the city, you know, and country. Anyway, there was somebody else that had their hand up. No? Okay. So with Sarah and Dion, moved, seconded, will receive the report. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. And now we'll move on to